Work-life balance. Sounds like a great concept, but I tried it and it didn't work. When I was working 9 to 5, or 9 to 9 rather, there were so many important things that all needed to get done. Try and get promoted, start a side hustle, spend time with family, date, exercise, live healthier, and so many other things. But the more things that I tried to do more intensively all at once, the more exhausted I got and nothing really got accomplished. And this happens to so many other people who try the work-life balance thing. But the problem is that work-life balance is a myth. The concept of work-life balance is basically to divide up your day into little chunks and try to get everything done. The thing is that it's never really possible to achieve true balance, at least not in our lives. Balance means to achieve an even distribution at one point in time. For example, when you're riding a bicycle. But in real life, you just can't do that. When you're working long hours on an important project, you're not balanced. When you're spending 3 wonderful hours chatting with a friend, you're unbalanced as well. And it's not a bad thing because it's exactly during those unbalanced time that we make real progress. So now what? I didn't throw out the concept of work-life balance entirely. I mean, it works on some level. You can divide up your day or even your week in a way to achieve some semblance of balance, at least on a macro scale. For example, not working to the extent that you're sleep deprived, or watch Netflix while working from home and lag behind on all of your tasks, or not just work and hustle and never connect with your friends. But it's not enough. Work-life balance is just not enough. It will never give you the things that you really want, that are important to you. So if you just want to go through the motions and be able to tell yourself, I think my life is balanced, then well, okay, work-life balance works for you. But if you want much more in life, really get ahead in your career or change your career to something that you really like doing. Start a business, really recover from a health crisis or even burnout, and especially develop meaningful relationships, then the traditional concept of work-life balance just won't cut it. And don't get me started about work-life integration. Work-life integration is the more muddled version of work-life balance, but with more blurred boundaries. Here you're just attempting the impossible by doing multiple things at once to get everything done. Playing Lego with your kids while finishing a presentation, eating in front of your laptop while checking your work email, trying to settle a long-time argument that you had with your spouse while listening to an online corporate training session. And again, I'm not saying that there's absolutely no room for work-life integration. I do it all the time, although I hate it. You just have to be careful not to fall prey to the illusion that you're making any real progress and that you're having a fulfilled life. Work-life balance and work-life integration are just not enough if you want to achieve anything meaningful in life. But just why exactly don't these things work? The problem with both work-life balance and work-life integration is that you're spending suboptimal time on important things. Ask yourself this question right now. What are the really important things in your life? Things that mean a lot to you and that would change your life for the better. It could be really finding out what the right career for you is and making that necessary pivot. Or even finding that guy or girl to spend the rest of your life with. Spending time with your family, your spouse, kids, or even parents. And not just those unfocused conversations where everyone is just scrolling through their own IGs. Or getting really healthy physically and mentally for the first time in your life and feeling energetic. But what's the one thing that is required to achieve all of these things? Focus time. That means dedicated time. And to achieve all the things that are important and meaningful to you, you need to spend an optimal amount of time. For some things like a side hustle, maybe a couple of hours on the weekends will be enough, at least at first. Perhaps even spending 1 hour each month going on a walk with your spouse, having in-depth conversations is better than nothing at all. But what if you want to achieve something better? What if you want to make a big improvement in your life that you can actually feel? Or what if you hit a roadblock? You're working on your business like mad, but you just can't grow it anymore because you're running out of energy. You just need more focused time to work on all of these things to make meaningful progress. And this is where the concept of life phasing comes in. Life phasing means portioning out an optimal amount of time to achieve an important goal in your life, something that you've just never managed to make progress with. For example, if you really want to leave the corporate rat race but never had the capacity to even think of an idea, what to do? Try and allocate, for example, 3 months to work really intensively on this and come up with that business idea. If your relationships are suffering, dedicate a whole month to spend intensive time with your loved one. And yes, you can do all of these things while you are working. Let's talk about that in a second. But an even better way, if this is possible, is to take some time off from work, either paid or unpaid. And if you need even more time, like 6 months or a year, you can even consider doing a sabbatical. But if this is not possible, then of course you can continue working in your job. But in that case, you really need to reduce the time you spend working. How do you do that? How do you suddenly work less hours? Try to be more efficient and productive at work so that you can finish your work earlier and clock out on time. Although this solution is not optimal, it will give you an additional 1 or 2 hours each day. Implementing a life phase doesn't mean that you only do that one thing. For example, just working on your side hustle, just learning that new language, or just working on your relationship. It just means that you are prioritizing that one thing and that you are spending disproportionately more time on that thing compared to others, so that you can spend an optimal amount of time to work on it and make real progress with it. So a long time ago, when I was still working in banking, I wanted to be an actor. And I got a few small jobs here and there, but I made very little progress. So one day, well, it's not as simple as that, but anyways, I decided to quit my job, and over the course of 3 years, I made my own 2 feature films in which I acted as the lead. And of course, it wasn't that easy. It was very, very hard, and I sacrificed a lot of things, but it was such a rewarding phase in my life. And also, it didn't mean that I would never work in a job again. It was just a phase that I needed to really focus on. Then when I moved to Toronto in Canada, there was a phase where I focused on growing my YouTube channel. And because it was really, really time consuming, especially in the beginning to get everything up and running, I opted not to work a full-time banking job again, but instead worked as a Starbucks barista. Now, what is something that is really meaningful, really important to you that you seem to never make any real progress on, despite implementing work-life balance and trying to work on your goals bit by bit? If that's something that you have been experiencing for quite a long time, then perhaps it's time to give life phasing a try. Carve out a portion of time. It can be days, weeks, months, a year, or even years to really prioritize and focus on one thing. And you can decide whether you want to do this by reducing the time spent at your day job if possible, and eliminating and reducing any other unnecessary things that you are doing in your life, or go all the way and take some unpaid leave or even a sabbatical. Now, let's get to the elephant in the room. You might be asking me, this all sounds great, but how is this possible? You need money. We need money. And yes, in order to implement life phasing, there are conditions. To have this freedom, what I call career freedom, you need to have your finances in order. But let's just start with the basics. The ideal thing, of course, is to have financial freedom. If you're financially free, if you no longer need to worry about where your money is coming from to pay all the bills, then you can go right ahead and structure your life into phases exactly the way that you want to. And let me just show you an example of this on this chart. Here, someone has divided up their life into life phases over a 10-year period. Here you see some corporate phases where the person works for a corporation, interspersed with a career transition phase. This could be a few weeks up to a few months where the person prepares to transition to a new career. A learning and leisure phase during which someone might go abroad and learn a new language, a self-employment phase during which the person really gears up to build their own business so someday they can quit the rat race, and so on and so on. And I know this kind of life sounds really enticing, but of course, not everyone is financially free yet, not even me. But you can start somewhere. If you don't think that your finances are in order yet, start with a habit of saving money. Start to accumulate a small emergency fund. That will give you confidence. Start with $5,000, grow that to $10,000, and so on. Over time, over a few years, you can hopefully build that up to a CFF, or what I call a career freedom fund. That career freedom fund of $20,000, $30,000, or even more will give you the chance, the freedom to take a short breather from your routine life and work, to pause and invest some time needed into those really important things. And it doesn't have to be forever. You can switch from, for example, a corporate phase where you work in a job for a company, take a few weeks leave or sabbatical to finally make progress on those important things, and then come back. And I know it's not easy, it's tricky, it depends on what kind of boss you have, how your company is like, but people have done it. People have taken unpaid leave and sabbaticals. Now, if you want to learn more about how to have a fulfilling life and career in the midst of your busy schedule, then you might want to pick up my book, Multiple Careers, Quit the Rat Race, Pursue Fulfilling Work. I hope this video was useful to you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.